429. Hello, I am WM Siegel, and today's episode is called The Vulnerable Crusades. I got the idea of that name, I guess, in reading these things called children's crusades in the Middle Ages. Times when kids just, in droves, seemed to just be leaving villages, places, largely, I think, because of the disease, pestilence, poverty. Um, that was a terrible thing. It wasn't some planned thing, but it put in my head the idea that when a location is toxic, um, do we fix the location or do we take out the vulnerable, you know? And in the way we draw up the world and we grow attachment to physical places, we tend to try to fix the place in, before we attend to the vulnerable of the place, right? The example here is Afghanistan and under Taliban rule. Under Taliban rule, women, children, the vulnerable are treated inhumanely. There's no one that needs convincing of that. We've been interacting with this country for decades, centuries really, but in its current iteration with the Taliban and all of this, it puzzles me why billionaires, I don't know, because I know that this is what I would want to do, why you aren't smuggling people out of the country. You're never going to defeat that idea. It has to die on its own. It will get defeated, but it's going to have to defeat itself. So the people that are vulnerable, the women and the children in Afghanistan, without them, there is no Taliban, because there is no tomorrow. They know that. That's why they have them under lock and key. That's what bad people do. That's what bad men do. If there could just be some international effort, if there isn't already, I don't know, but to just, one by one, 10 by 10, family by family, get every single woman and child out of that country. There's 8 billion of us. We could put them up somewhere, right? The result is a country that is already so isolated, now for certain has no tomorrow. That's how you defeat the Taliban. You take away their women and children, and you isolate the borders, and you wait. They're going to want to talk eventually. That ideology will go away if you take these types of extreme actions as a species. We got to start thinking about it that way. You cannot have entire countries where women aren't free to just be people. You can't deal with them. You can't do business with them. We know this stuff on the surface, but we don't, through our action, show our intent, or we do, rather. But if there really could be some international effort, I truly believe that systems of government that prey on the vulnerable will just disappear if you don't give them vulnerable. If you take away from them their prize. And their prize is the thing that they abuse. Take that away. Seal the border. What, 10 years before they all rattle? I mean, what world do they want? It kind of seems like that's the world they want. A world with only men. let's give it to them. They can have it. You know? Give it to them. You want a world with only men? Fine. Give us your women and children. We're going to seal your borders. Have a blast. I don't care what you do to each other at all. Not one bit. But I do care if your actions are going to impact the next generation. The only way to ensure that bad men cannot influence the next generation is to completely isolate them from the vulnerable. 100%. We can do that in our communities, even. We do to a degree. If people are just, their brains are broken, when we go in and we fight, it's almost like we think we're going to change someone's mind, or that we're creating space for another idea to exist. But that other idea might not be there. It's been beaten out of them, So to go to war with these types of people, it doesn't yield results, and it never will, because they have a next generation. You just got to take that away from them. They don't want to be there. I cannot imagine there's a 12-year-old girl that wants to be in Afghanistan. She wants to be home. She wants to live in the place that she's been told about. Afghanistan's beautiful. It shares all of our history. Zarathustra's from there. It's an incredible place with a patchwork of cultures that have survived millennia, and it's all being destroyed by sad boys, just sad little weird guys in their 20s and 30s, It's not right, it's not good. It's still happening every day, every single day. People are being treated not like human beings in this country. We all know where it is. We've had soldiers there. We won wars there, right? There was new governments. The only reason the Taliban took back control of Afghanistan is because there were women and children there. And the only way to get rid of the Taliban is to take away their future. Build a wall around them and just let them be. Let them just eat each other to death. And then, and only then, will that country be free of this disease that came to it. This awful extremist disease that took over a nation that has so much more to offer the world than the Taliban. So we need to start thinking in these terms. You see a country where the vulnerable are treated poorly, we gotta start thinking about maybe taking the vulnerable out. Why send thousands of troops to a country? Why? I promise you it'd be a lot cheaper to bring thousands of people out of that country. So much cheaper. So much less loss of life. If we had done that in 2001, we would now be at, almost 25 years later. That's a generation. I wonder what a walled up Afghanistan with no women or children would look like after 24 years. I wish I could see it. I wish I was looking at it right now. Because it would mean that those women and children could go back home. And those children are now adults. They were raised in a free society. We have to start thinking in these terms. the place, the land, that doesn't have to be the fight. That's not the fight. The fight is that these people are stupid. And they were sucked in to an ideology that is complete nonsense. And then they bend the world around them, and they bend themselves into a pretzel to make it make sense. And then they beat it into the children and the women. You can't fight that. You can't. But it will kill itself. It will, because it's weak. It's nonsense, right? And so it will eat itself. It'll fester. It'll kill itself. But only if you take its food away. The vulnerable. That's the only way to do it. And so, if you've got $1 billion, build a village somewhere. You know, you got some white trash loser that built houses for January 6th people. Oh my God, you're such a loser. We should be living in a world where a woman who owns land and has some scratch feels compelled to build some tiny homes for Afghani women and children that are being treated like dung beetles. Not half-cocked, meth-head, white trash rednecks that get their news from YouTube. My God. I don't know how that person shows their face anywhere. I guess they stay in Texas, so it's fine, right? But so we got to start thinking about this stuff that way. Even in homes. I don't know. We just got to get people out of the situation. And the corrupt mind that created the situation will fold on itself. It has no strength. They're parasites. All of them. They stand on no sound ideology. If they did, they wouldn't have to force people into it. You know, love is something that people are drawn to. Hate is something that people are brought into. So I think about it, you know. I don't even know how you would go about doing things like this. But if we, just as people, think in these terms, and then the next time something comes up, we think about it in those terms, then we're talking to our representative about it that way. We have to change the way we are viewing these things completely. We can't fight wars the way we used to, and we still need war, unfortunately, but it's different now. We have to be more clever, more intelligent, you know. People need to start thinking like intelligence officers in a way. There was no reason really to go to that country the way we did. There was a reason we needed to, but we didn't do it right. To get rid of the Taliban, you have to take away its food, and its food is it's vulnerable. That's the only answer. We have literally tried everything else with absolutely no result, disastrous results, no positive result, I mean. It's right in our face. Occam's razor, you know, the simplest thing. Where women and children are not treated like humans, remove them from that place. And those men that are left will eat each other. They will. I know it, you know. I know a lot of weak men. You take away the thing they bully, and they just fold on themselves. 100%. I promise you. With no women and children in it, Afghanistan would have a population of like 400 in 25 years. Because no one would even, taking away the fact that there aren't new people coming in, people would just, they'd be dying young, they'd be killing each other. Factions, tribes, let them have it. Have it. That's what you wanted. Do it, but do it to each other. Alright? Not the ladies, not the kids. You know, to each other. So, we need to start an international ring of kidnapping. I don't know. Think about it though. Should we go to a place and fight a war, or should we take the people that are being killed out of the place? And then what happens? I don't know. But if we approach international conflict same way we always have, we're never going to get out of this place. Got to try something new, big time. That's about it. So, go kidnap some. No, I'm just kidding. All right, bye.